Welcome to the Cogtrium Telehealth Platform Quick Start Lessons. The purpose of these lessons are to get you up and going as absolutely soon as possible on the Cogtrium Telehealth Platform. This first lesson is going to center on the equipment that's necessary, an overview of the roles in the platform, and also how to pick the initial patients for your first telehealth sessions. That is, we're going to talk about equipment, overview of roles, and picking the initial patients. The telehealth platform equipment is minimal. We designed the platform for the purpose of not having costs be an impediment to use of the system. So all of the equipment that you're going to need, you probably already have most of it, if not all of it, in your office already. You need an internet connection, a cable modem, a DSL, or other high-speed connection will work, probably exactly what you've already got in your office. You're going to need a computer, a webcam, and a microphone to make the connections. Remember what telehealth is. It's connecting patients and providers using voice, video, and data. So you need those as a connection. The preferred equipment that we would suggest that you use as a therapist is that you use a desktop or laptop with a screen size of 14 inches or larger. That's a personal preference, but having a bigger screen can really make a difference. You need an HD webcam and a microphone, or you can use a headset with a microphone. Those are all personal preferences. I personally like the HD webcams because they are so cheap and they are true HD. They can display very high resolutions, and they also often come with a microphone, an HD microphone built in for high quality mic pickup and display. Some people though do prefer the headsets. That's because it helps kill ambient noise outside, and if you're in an area that you may have other things on the other side of the door, you may want to just get completely focused in, and for some the headset and the microphone that way works just fine. But again, it is low cost, it is not expensive. You'll find an HD webcam if you're looking at Best Buy or on Amazon. Really good ones are starting at $30 or $40, so they're not much. You can spend a lot of money on them if you want, but those HD webcams and high fidelity speakers are really relatively cheap, and I'd start with the $30 or $40 ones to make sure before you decide you need anything else. The telehealth platform is governed by roles. How you log in determines the roles that you can function in and the tasks you can complete and what you can do in the system. There's three basic roles. The first is the patient. Patients are those people receiving the therapy. Then there are providers. Providers are those people that are delivering the therapies and the medical services. The last group is EAP. Those are the executive admin personnel. These are the folks that are doing the back office functions and also the front desk functions that you typically associate with a clinic. The patient role is the simplest. A patient's role in the system is to receive therapy. So they receive a notice. What's on the screen here on the right is a typical notice that a patient after being scheduled a telehealth session would receive. It's the basic instructions of how you connect. And for most patients, it's simply opening a Chrome browser and clicking on the click here button to launch the session. For those that are using an iPad or an iPhone, those that have an iOS system, there's one additional step, and that step is they have to download the app from the App Store. But any device will work as long as it can connect to the internet, can support a Chrome browser, and make that connection. You'll find that with a lot of patients, even though smartphones and tablets, small tablets, are workable, they're not as satisfying for the patient just as they're not as satisfying for the provider. If you imagine, especially if you're dealing with a child, having to hold a smartphone in their hand for the entire session, keeping it pointed at their face, can be a challenge. That's why I think the desktops and laptops are going to give you a much better, more satisfying result. Although there will be times when you'll be glad you can use a smartphone or a small pad to make an emergency connection happen. The providers occupy the most important role because these are the clinicians that are actually doing the work. In the system, we need to uniquely identify a provider. That means that when you register as a therapist in the Cogtrium telehealth platform, we need to have you enter your NPI number. That's the National Provider Identifier. CMS has set up a way of identifying each individual provider across the country. The reason that's done is the system is broad enough that a person or a therapist can use it in multiple settings. For example, a speech language pathologist may provide services to multiple school districts without the benefit of a single office that they occupy. That kind of situation, the speech language pathologist is going to want to see all of their appointments in one place, and this allows them to do that. That happens in many multi-specialty arrangements, so entering the NPI is an important part of that. What providers can do with it in the system is that they can schedule appointments, conduct sessions, and approve billing information. So the primary function there is how do you get to a call, how do you conduct it, and how do you approve what you did on the billing. The last role is that of EAP, Executive Admin Personnel. This is the role of those that are office personnel that are responsible for patients and providers, linking them together by referral and by authorization. Now, when we use referral within the telehealth platform, we're using it in a slightly different way than it usually is in various clinics. A referral is merely a linking of a patient to a provider. It's a way of saying this provider is authorized to engage in telehealth sessions with this patient. Same thing with the authorizations. They can be done that same sort of way. So it'll cover all kinds of situations that allow you to connect a provider and a patient. Patients and payers being linked together. This is the financial end, so that you can link individual patients with their payers. And those can be all the usual ones like Medicaid and Medicare, Aetna, Blue Cross, Cigna, United, those kind of things, or it can be other more specialized items if it's a school district or a community mental health organization or others that are actually doing the paying. Providers in some situations will also want to be listed and enabled in the system as an EAP. If you're a single practitioner that are doing all of your back-end functions yourself, you're going to want to be an EAP as well. So you can do all of those data entry and connection sorts of things beyond just doing the telesessions themselves. So a provider can do both roles. They just need to log into the system with their credentials in different portions of the system to do the different functions. Selecting the patients to begin with telehealth is an important role. And as we've stressed before, and as we'll stress over and over again, getting started quickly, jumping into actually doing telehealth sessions is vitally important. There is a slight learning curve when you first do telehealth. It's trying to get a feel for what it looks like and how it looks. We suggest that you start with patients that you have a rapport with and that you understand. These are people that when you're doing something new, it's much easier to do that with, and you'll get your feet on the ground much quicker. Almost all of the clinical techniques that you use in the office will work just as well online. Some of them may need some adjustment, but some of them you'll actually find work better in the telehealth realm than they did in the office setting. When you're thinking through how this begins and works, One phenomenon that we observe over and over again is very quickly patients cease to see the medium. By that I mean they cease to see that this is a video connection that they're dealing with, and it becomes almost as if they are in the same room with you. Most providers that have used telehealth for a while have the same experience where the person is really there with them, and it becomes it's almost a universal experience that most folks have. To get there requires that you just get started and keep going until it feels comfortable and is a second nature to you, an ability, just one more way you have of reaching and dealing with patients. The other thing to keep in mind is almost all patients absolutely love telehealth. And when you think through the barriers to care, the difficulties about coming to your office, you can see quickly why. It removes most of those. There's no long drive time. There's no waiting in the office. There's no uh, difficulty of missing work or doing those kind of things. And if you're a patient, often being in the privacy of your own home adds an element of privacy that is missing sometimes in the office settings. So patients almost always love telehealth. Keep that in mind as you're going through. The majority of your people are going to absolutely love it. Well, your overview is complete, and you've got the basic understandings of this first lesson. You can now proceed to lesson 2 of the Quick Start. As you go through these next lessons, your quick start will be completed. By the end of them, you're going to be able to understand the basics of the Cogtrium telehealth platform. You'll be able to add patients to the telehealth system, link providers to patients and payers, set authorized session limits, schedule telehealth sessions, and be able to conduct telehealth sessions. Again, let me just encourage you. It's called Quick Start because we have found that those that quickly start find far more success. It's one of those things that once you get through those brief learning curves to get underway, you'll find real satisfaction and start thinking in terms of where can this work? How can I adjust what I'm doing to make it more effective? And getting into that experience and mindset will allow you to expand far beyond the four walls of your office and be able to reach many more people and do the good that you are doing. Thank you and good luck, and continue on with the lessons.